Okay, we're back into football season. We have another late night edition here of TribPreps, videos that we've done for the last several years. Friday nights after football games, what we've done too, we sit and tell you what we saw and talk a little bit about the outcomes and what they mean. Let's start by going over a score list from tonight for our first Friday night of week one. Eau Claire Memorial beat Logan 18-16. Prairie du Chien with a little bit of a surprise here, 16-12 over Aquinas. West Salem 35-28 over Onalaska in overtime. Onalaska Luther 35, Laird Taylor 0. Sparta 40-14 over Black River Falls. Toma 27-14 over Mauston. CFC 40-20 over Brookwood. Westby 52-17 over Richland Center. Mondovi 20-0 over GET. And Arcadia 32-0 over Osseo Fairchild. I'm going to be selfish and take my game first tonight.
Right.
I was at West Salem for the West Salem Onalaska game, and boy, typical Panthers Hilltoppers. We had to go to overtime. We had lead changes. We had big plays. Hero of the night, Tamarian Henderson. West Salem going to overtime took the ball first. Trevor Arntz scored a touchdown, his second one of the night, to give them a 7-point lead. Onalaska comes back. First play, wide open touchdown pass to Evan Anderson, but we had illegal motion. So it comes back. They have to drive again. They get down to the 7. Adam Skifton again looks for Anderson to try and get the touchdown part of the comeback. And Henderson intercepts the ball and ends the game. Onalaska certainly, had they gotten that touchdown, they would have gone for 2 to try and get the win. That's what Coach Yashinsky said after the game. When you think about the game, these two teams go back, the last 20 years. You could probably look at 75% of those games that come down to one possession. And that's what this did. I mean, it lived up to the hype. People thought, these were both teams that they played in the state semifinals last year. Of course, West Salem won, got to the finals. Two very different teams coming back, but I thought two teams that made really good showings for themselves tonight. Luke Baginski really stepped in nicely. Brett McConkey held down that spot for 3 years at quarterback for West Salem. He had a couple of touchdown runs, a really nice touchdown pass. Henderson, who didn't play football last year, kind of came out and was a nice option for Baginski when he decided to throw the ball, but I thought he had a good command of when to throw it, when to run it. I thought Adam Skifton played a good game for Onalaska. They got Evan Anderson pretty involved with this thing tonight. Bad thing, Brady Kuhn for Onalaska injured his ankle. They came out in the second half. It was 21-21 at the half. They came out, Onalaska decided we're going to go to Brady Kuhn. He's been our guy the last couple of years. Last year, almost entirely for anyways. 18-yard run, 12-yard run, then he gets tripped up for a short gain and stays down. Left the field on crutches, ankle injury, we don't know how serious yet, but that's a big loss for the Hilltoppers moving forward, not having him at running back. So just kind of I was talking to people on the sideline, I said I could write 6 different stories about this game, because that many things happened. There were great defensive plays all over the field. The offense has played very well, especially in the first half. And I think this really shows us that West Salem is a definite contender in the Coulee. We thought that going in, but you kind of have to see it before you know it. And tonight we saw it. I still think Onalaska will be a contender in the MVC as well. With or without Kuhn, I think they'll figure out something to do. And ride Skifton the rest of the way. Like I said, he had some picks, a couple of picks tonight. Onalaska turned it over just a little too much, I think. So I'm sure they'll talk about that, but there certainly wasn't much that happened that would make you think that they're not going to be a contender in the MVC. So really, really good game for week one. That's the kind of thing I expect to see later in the season as teams are starting to figure out who they are. But I thought both teams played very well tonight. James was over at Logan. That game also went down to the end and didn't go the local team's way.
No. So Logan was in command throughout most of this. They led up until the final 2 minutes, and here's how that sort of happened. So Clare Memorial scores a touchdown. They make it a 4-point game, 16-12 with about 2:30 left. They go to onside kick it, and the kick does not go 10 yards, sort of spins back towards the original line where they kicked. But a Logan player touches it first, makes it a live ball. Tons of Old Abe's players there to snap it up and recover it. They go on a drive, 40-yard catch, puts them right on the goal line basically, and from there it's an easy touchdown for Memorial. Logan managed to drive all the way down to the red zone and got a field goal attempt late, but it was no good. One that certainly they took a lot of positives away. And talking with Casey Noble, they definitely took a lot of positives in that they had, I think he said, 4 offensive linemen playing their first varsity game, and they managed to run the ball really well, and their offense looked very good for the most part. But just those little mistakes, and it wasn't just on the onside kick, it was throughout the game. Their secondary in the second half sort of had some issues where it looked like the quarterback for Memorial, have his name here, Riley Holmberg, was picking them apart. Nearly 300 yards, had a touchdown pass. So definitely a lot of positives that they can take away from it. The first half, they looked pretty good defensively. They made them one-dimensional where they had to throw the ball. Unfortunately, when they threw the ball, they turned out to be really, really good at it. So Logan, definitely going to be scratching their heads after this one.
Yeah. And you said Lever kind of did a little bit of everything?
He did a little bit of everything, and it's like most of the night, it felt like, he could have done even more than what showed up on the stat sheet. He had 96 rushing yards, 77 receiving yards. He threw a touchdown pass, and he probably could have come away with an interception or two in the first half where he couldn't hold on to it, where he had his hands on it. The secondary was able to make plays in big moments, but it's just those momentary lapses because it's him, it's Bradley Check, it's Nick Jolly, so it's a very athletic secondary that Lever thinks, and I think too, that when they get those things figured out, they could definitely make some big plays and flip some games in the opposite way that this one tonight won.
You say you had 77 receiving yards. How did they handle the quarterback position?
They kind of were switching it in and out, where it was check on some plays. He would take a direct snap. They run play action. They did a lot of different stuff offensively, but I wouldn't be shocked if the rest of the way it's Check receiving the majority of the passing downs. Okay. Talking with Johnny, it sort of sounded like they're trying to get him ready for next year when Johnny isn't here. But they're definitely not going to go away from Johnny being quarterback totally. I think it really opens things up to sort of have Johnny out there in a sort of wild card position where you don't really know what he's going to do on a given play.
Okay. We also have Andrew Tucker here with us from the Winona Daily News, although we're all under one umbrella.
Yes. River Valley Media Group.
River Valley Media Group, yes. You were at CFC Brookwood tonight. Tell us a little bit about what you saw from that game.
Yeah, it was a very veteran offense for CFC, returning just about all of their total yards from last season, and it showed. They put up 40 points to Brookwood's 20, and CFC jumped out to a 19-0 lead in the first quarter. They led 33-8 at the half, and then took their foot off the gas in the second half. Brookwood had a couple touchdowns late in the fourth quarter, but it was really not particularly close for most of the way. CFC really controlled the tempo of that game. CFC is hoping to compete in the Dairyland. They, as we saw, on your list of scores, Blair Taylor got shut out by a Onalaska Luther team that should be a pretty decent squad, but Blair Taylor was one of CFC's 2 losses in the Dairyland last year. If CFC wins and Blair Taylor loses, maybe things will go different this time around. But obviously, I think that matchup is week 6 or 7, so we're still a ways away from that Dairyland conversation. But yeah, Cochran Fountain City, their quarterback Austin Arnberg had a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. He had 112 passing yards, 47 rushing yards, 1 pass TD, 2 rushing touchdowns. But he also threw 2 picks, and he was not too pleased with his own performance. He was happy that the team won, but it sounded like from what head coach Jesse Cyrus said, Arnberg, as soon as he threw the interceptions, he went over and started chatting with his head coach. What did I do wrong? What do you think I should have done on that play? So it sounds like he's trying to shake the rust off as best he can. He was a Dairyland Conference all-conference player on both sides of the ball last year, so I presume he'll get the kinks ironed out after week 1, and you can't really blame him in a 20-point win.
Okay. In terms of games we weren't at, what stands out to me, Sparta going out and scoring 40. I know Black River Falls may be down, but Thomas Laufenberger's back. Had a couple of touchdown runs and a touchdown pass in that one. Westby going out and scoring 52. I think that's pretty impressive. And can't say enough about Prairie du Chien. Blake Theory apparently had a big game in this one. They won the game in the last minute with Tom Lee said it was a 25-yard touchdown pass is what it ended up being. So see how Aquinas can rally moving forward. Not used to losing during the regular season. It's been a while since that's happened. Anything jump out to you, James?
You mentioned Sparta getting 40 in their season opener. Having Thomas back is obviously pretty big for them. If he can stay healthy, that's a team that I think is going to be way better than what the record was last year. Just dealing with injuries and all the off-the-field stuff that they had to deal with. Mm-hmm. Luther was a team that I also saw in the preseason, and we were sort of scratching our heads thinking, how are they going to be? Because outside of Kendall and Barr, we don't really know what they have. Eli Krause showed up. He had a bunch of catches, a great rushing night for them. Just it sounds like it's a good start for Luther, and they're figuring out the pieces that they have and where they're going to be when it comes conference play time.
Okay. Well, I think that'll do it for us tonight. It is late enough. I'm sure everybody's watching this Saturday morning. Well, it's technically Saturday morning now, but
we'll all still be asleep.
Yeah, exactly. No, not me. I'm working on my deck.
Right.
So we'll be back again next Friday night for week 2 of another TribPreps. And for now, you can see all the stuff that we did tonight, lacrossetribune.com. Obviously, that's probably where you're seeing this. We have game stories up there. We have photos up there, videos up there. We'll be doing some things throughout the week as well. Previewing next week and that kind of stuff. So lacrossetribune.com is your portal to see everything that we're doing throughout the season. And I guess we will see you next Friday. Thanks for coming and joining us tonight.